Happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome to Pupism Session 3. Today is July 30th, 2024, and as always for today's session, we need hope. Now, just a quick rundown. Hope is a feeling of desire or expectation for something to happen. Now, for today, we are going to use that hope so that we can learn, and more specifically, we are learning how to change the present, but even more specifically, how to form a conviction, and even more specifically, our mental world. Now, for today's session, we are learning how to form a conviction, more specifically a mental conviction. But before we jump into the lesson, I just wanted to learn a word that will go hand in hand with today's learnings, okay? That is moderation. Now, moderation by definition is the avoidance of excess or extremes in one's behavior. So what does that mean and why is it important? Well, moderation is literally the answer to everything in life, right? It could be good or bad, right? Too much air, you could die. Too little air, you could die too, right? So it's literally about looking for that balance and making sure that we keep everything under control. You can have bad habits, right? You like soda, okay? You like a Coke. Maybe not every day, maybe once a week, 2 times a week. It's all about moderation, right? So just keep that in mind while we learn today's lesson. Also, there was a weird definition on Google for physics. Apparently, moderation means the retardation of neutrons. Now, I don't know what that means, but I just thought that was interesting to point out. Now, as always, before we start building a strong conviction, we should probably identify our current stats right now. Now, how do you do that? Well, in the physical world, it's a lot easier because you can look at your body, there's evidence and there's facts there, like the color of your piss or whatever. You can see how your body is doing health-wise. Now, your mental is more personal, so it's kind of more difficult. You gotta do it a little bit more extra to find out how you are, how your mental health is. Now, how do you do that exactly? What is the evidence behind your mental health? Any guesses? It's kind of hard. We're doing it right now. Your thoughts. Your thoughts are evidence of how your mental health is going on. Now that we identified how to identify our present mental stats, we need to ask ourselves why. But before we do that, I'm going to give you 2 examples. So I give you 2 examples. We got the homie that has a hot girlfriend, and we also got the homie that's joining a new sports team. All right, so we'll focus on the first example first. If we got the homie with a hot girlfriend and you going in public, right, and people are going to be looking, are you thinking, is she looking at someone that's better than me? Are these competitions to me? Am I good enough for her? Even though she's a hot girlfriend, they all try and look at her and they not really kind of disrespecting me. How do you think your physical world is gonna look, right? We kind of see your thoughts through your physical form. We see how your mentality is. Now, on the contrary, if your thoughts are, well, she's hot and she picked me, they're all looking, but I'm the one that gets her. Your physical world, your physical presence is going to be different. And by seeing that physical presence, we can see where your mentality is. Now, for the second example, we got the homie that's joining a new sports team, right? If you're nervous, right, because you're like, these people don't know me. I don't know if I'm good enough. Do I belong here? You're probably going to physically see that you're nervous, like you're not doing your full capabilities. But on the contrary, if we have the homie that's like, I belong here, I'm going to show these guys up instead of them showing me up. You can see that through their confidence, through their physicality. You could learn their mentality just by analyzing their physical stature. Now, just a bonus question for you. Which one of these guys is most likely to get cheated on or their girl leave them? And which one of these guys do you think is most likely to make the team? Okay, so thoughts are the evidence to our mental stats. Now, why is that? It's because our thoughts are our soul's messenger to this physical world. So what do you mean by that? Well, yes, the thoughts come from our brain, but where does that come from? It comes into what you truly believe in, which is what we're working on, and everything's tied up, conviction. So our thoughts is coming from our brain, but our brain is coming from what? Our souls. Okay, so if we try to manipulate the thoughts we get, positive or negative, how much value they hold to us, and they come from the brain, and then they come from the soul, if we want to understand the thoughts that we have, we should probably understand our brain. So muscles are cool, it attracts people, it shows evidence that you're a healthy person, that you have goals, aspirations, that you care about yourself. But the brain is how you win in life. Now, we need to really understand the power of our brain, right? Our brain was designed for humans, but it was created by God himself, right? Our brain is the reason that we are number 1 species in this earth. It's literally in control. It's literally the center of everything that's going on, right? I'm interpreting everything because my brain subconsciously is just so fast, so powerful, that I get to move my hands, I get to see and understand what that house over there looks like, the light, I feel hot, I feel warm. Everything is going on with my brain at the same time. Now, the sole reason why humans are number 1 on Earth, right, the number 1 species on Earth, is literally because of our brains. Physically, shit could kill us, but for some reason, you can have your own theories, but our brain developed a lot faster and a lot more than these other animals that we literally dominate this Earth. Now, when I talk about our three worlds, our physical, mental, and spiritual, I like using the example of a computer setup to maybe help you visualize a little more of what I'm trying to say, right? So our physical world will be like a monitor. Everything that's going on in your computer, everything that you're searching up, you see it through the monitor. Without a monitor, it's still going on, but you just don't see it. Our brain is like the computer. If you turn off the computer, everything shuts down. Nothing works. If you turn on the computer, everything's working. The only thing is you need to plug in a monitor so you can see what's working, right? And then our spirit is like our Wi-Fi. Have you ever had a computer or iPhone with no Wi-Fi? It still works, like you can see what's going on and it's working how it is, but you're just not connected to anything, right? So you just have the computer. Now the thing is, you can have a computer with no Wi-Fi. You can have a Wi-Fi and computer with no monitor. But without a computer, Wi-Fi and monitor doesn't mean anything. And that is why our brain, our mind, is the most powerful thing that we have. Now, our brains are so strong that I read online that they said our brain is literally stronger and faster than a supercomputer. Now, I don't really know what that means, but it just sounds kind of crazy. But something else that I remember they used to tell me when I was younger is that we only use 10% of our brains. I read that nowadays people are saying that's not true. We use a lot more of our brains. But my point is, we probably do use only 10%. You know, people probably found out how to use more, and maybe they got like some Star Wars The Force powers, or maybe they got no powers, they're just smarter. My point is, if you had messy skills, would you only use 10%? No, of course not. We're trying to optimize and use the most efficiency of our human body so that we can express how we feel inside. Now, in order to do that, we need to have a clean and healthy brain, right? Now, for this, we're going to symbolize our brain as an iPhone, okay? So when we are born as little babies, right, we're given a new brain, a new iPhone, and basically you have all the things that it comes with, right? You know, the iPhone works how it is. It's uncustomized yet. You just have a working iPhone. But as you start growing out of a baby into a toddler, you start wanting to test these stuff out. You know, when a little toddler starts trying to talk or trying to walk or trying to imitate what they're learning, even though they don't fully understand what's going on. It's like us going into our phone, going through our settings, kind of understanding how the phone works, you know? We start growing older. Now we're little kids, but now we have friends. We meet other people. We start growing contacts in our phone that we could connect with, that we know, right? And those are friends, fam, or location. You know, it could be like a school bus, could be like at a water park. And now you're a kid, and now you're creating new hobbies because you're learning what basketball is, you're learning what skateboarding is. And that's kind of like downloading apps. It's kind of like downloading stuff to your brain. And you get to indulge in it, and you get to go inside of these little apps, and then you have a fun time. Now, once we're old enough and we're our own individuals, you know, we know how to talk, we know how to walk, we know how everything kind of works in the world. We control our own iPhone, we control our own brain. And now this could be positive or negative because from your environment, from your people, from your friends, this is what it's learned from. But now you control how much you use it, and now you control what you're using. Now, if you had a good man in your life, you probably weren't planted bad little seeds or bad teachings because he was guiding you through all this. Now, for the other kids who kind of practiced negative stuff when they were young and didn't think it would catch up to them because they were young and you don't know much better, you're probably watching this video, and this is probably where we are right now, trying to refix all the bad stuff that we learned when we were younger. But some people don't think like this. Some people just kind of disregard their brain or not really see it as the most powerful organ. So now I want to ask you a question for your physical iPhone that you might be watching this on or that you got in your pocket. How many apps do you have? Do you know a rough estimate? And what's the percentage of apps that you have on your home screen? You know, do you have 100 apps but you only use 10? What's the time effort? What's the time amount that you put into these 10 apps? And then what about the apps that you're not used? Have you not touched them in months, in years? You know, sometimes we're blinded by all the useless apps, you know, and it gets crowded. But we just need to remember that there's also beneficial apps that we have downloaded into our brain. Now, as always, before we start changing the present and we change all of this and we clean it all up, we should probably understand our transmitter, our messages that we're getting. We should probably understand our thoughts better. Now, our thoughts are influenced by three main categories, right? And these are all positive or negative, but since we're trying to fix that we're broken, these are more kind of pointed at negative, but these are all positive and negative. We got core memories, core events, or trauma. We got our mental health, and we got our hobbies. Now, to further explain what I mean by that, I'm going to give you an example because I love examples. So for this example, I need you to imagine that your brain is a tree and your thoughts are the leaves, okay? It's kind of weird, but we can do it together. Now, here we have a tree, and your roots are your core memories, your core events, or your trauma that has happened when you were younger. Now, we know that when you are a little kid or when you're a baby, that is the most impactful years that you are learning because you're freshly new, you have a new iPhone, and everything you see, you're learning a lot more significantly than when you're older, right? Now, this could be good or bad if you are learning positive or negative stuff. Now, these roots are the strongest part of your thoughts. And actually, these roots come from your soul, from your conviction. It is what you truly believe. Now, if an event happened to you or a trauma happened to you, right? Let's say that something happened when I went to the grocery store. Now, when I go to the grocery store, because of that trauma, my mind's gonna be like, hold on, it's gonna be like, stay alert. Now, this is also where the truth is rooted in, literally, because when you see that people get emotional, mostly when they get mad, you see that they spit out the truth, right? Because they're so heated up that the true thing that they believe in, their conviction, what they truly believe, even if it's wrong, they spew it out. And usually that comes from something that they're uncomfortable with, or a trauma or an event that happened when they were younger. Now, there is a way to manipulate your roots or stuff that has happened to you when you're younger, but we are probably going to be talking about that more on the next Pupism Session 4 when we are talking about our spiritual selves, our spiritual world. But for now, we'll move on to our next thing. Next, we got our mental health. Now, our mental health in this analogy is kind of how you see that tree, right? So we kind of see a normal tree, but if you are tweaked a little bit differently, you might be interpreting or seeing it a different type of way. Now, the connected thing about mental health and core memories is when you are older, you cannot change it, right? You just kind of spawn with it. Maybe it's bad luck, maybe it's good luck, I don't know. But the thing I can say about mental health is a lot of it is labeling and then false ideologies, right? So if you're a little bit different and then you're 3 years old and they tell you, oh, you got autism, you're automatically going to be like, oh, I'm different, so I'm kind of less than people. Not necessarily true. If you label yourself a human concept, then you're going to believe it, right? The same way we believe in something is probably going to happen. If you believe you're different and you're less than somebody because your brain is tweaked, that's probably what's going to happen. But what if you believe the other way, right? I don't know why I got, some people say different type of vibes. I do all the tests and they all come out positive. But look at Messi. Messi is autistic, but he is the best in the world. I see it kind of, we use the analogy of the computer setup. I kind of see it like your brain's just a little bit modded. You kind of see things a little differently. Your brain functions a little differently than other people. Now, it is a spectrum, so if you are turned up all the way, just like we said in the beginning of the video, moderation, then it's going to be a lot tougher, because now you kind of got to translate how you feel to what normal people see, depending what you do, of course. But if you are tweaked out and you label yourself and you give yourself these human concepts, okay, I'm depressed, so I'm just a sad person, you're probably going to become a sad person for a long time unless you change that ideology. Maybe that's just how you're feeling, Now, I know people are probably like, well, I'm like 25 and I can't change my core memories. I can't change my mental health. I'm already autistic. I'm already schizophrenic. Just play into it. You know what I mean? Just enjoy, accept yourself, because that's what a lot of people miss. Accept yourself and see what you can do with those tweaks. I see it as a gift. You can see it as a curse or a gift. And I like to see it as a gift. Next, our hobbies represent the water that we feed our tree, that our roots suck in. It's our hobbies. Now, unlike the other two, our core memories and our mental health, we are able to control and change our current day hobbies. Now, this could be positive and negative. If you were watering your brain with scrolling and porn and drugs, what's that going to do to your tree? What kind of leaves are you going to sprout? But if you're washing yourself with, you're doing judo and you're taking art classes and, you're just walking and interacting with people in this life, what kind of tree do you think is going to sprout? What kind of leaves do you think is going to sprout out of that? You know what I mean? And this affects your thoughts, because if you're inside all day playing video games, being a little fat ass, smoking weed, and you're not really training yourself to be in society, when you go to the grocery store, you're probably like, oh shit, you know what I mean? You're probably like feeling not prepared. But if you just came out of a karate class and you go to the grocery store to get some food, you're probably going to be, your thoughts are not going to be like, oh shit, your thoughts are going to be like, okay, let me go get this food, So this is how these are all interacted with your tree. Now we have two examples of two very different types of trees. Let's say you have good core memories, right? You don't really have much trauma. You worked on your mental health, everything's straight, and you got good hobbies. What kind of leaves do you think your tree's going to sprout? Probably a big, strong, good-looking, attractive tree. Okay, let's say you got bad core memories, you got trauma, you never really worked on your mental health, you kind of disregarded it because you don't really want to look into it. And your hobbies is a reflection on all that because you don't want to deal with that shit. You know what I mean? I feel you. But my question is, what is your leaves going to look like? What do you think your thoughts are going to appear? Now that we understand this more, we need to retrain our brain. And this is the answer. This whole thing right here is the answer on how you identify your mental stats. You know what I mean? You got to look at these things at your true history. What core memories do you remember? What drama does your brain rely on? Okay, so last session, we learned how to cure our heart or our body through a strong physical conviction. So now let's learn how to build a strong mental conviction. So the first step is the same as last one. You gotta clean right. Identify all the things that's poisoning, damaging, making you sad. What's hurting your brain? You know, I got a couple of things, but you gotta do it on yourself because you got the answer. I don't got the answer for you. Is it drugs, judgment, you know, just bad words, dirtiness, porn, social media, you know? We got bad influences, friends. All these things could, you know, take in your brain and have a bad output. You know, it's almost similar to food. If you eat a bag of chips, you know, chips taste good, but you can't just do it too much, right? So if you know that's your problem, then I give you two options. You either got to delete it completely or you got to moderate it. But you got to moderate it into a thing that's like actually moderation. You know, your brain likes to do this trick where it gives you a little goal that it knows it could beat, that go into the right direction, but also knows that it will feed your addiction. It's kind of like sick psychology, but your brain does that to you. Your brain is very advanced. Think about it. If it's stronger than a supercomputer, it knows its way how to beat humans that are trying to, you know, grow up, you know, trying to get out of that slumped system that we're so used to. The second step is the same as the last one too. You gotta eat right. Now what I mean by that is obviously you can't feed your brain physically, but what are you feeding your brain? What are you feeding your brain? Now we are human. Like I said, the brain is designed for humans. So we are gonna have human emotions, human thoughts, right? We are gonna have a lot of negatives, a lot of positives. But what are you gonna accept your brain to take? You know what I mean? I'll give you an example. As I'm fighting my addiction of weed, I find my brain thinking a lot, oh, I want some weed, I wanna get high right now. If you shut it down right now, you know, you scope it out and you fucking shoot it, it's gonna slowly stop coming. But if you accept it, right, if I'm thinking, okay, I want weed and I make a joke about it or I say it out loud, it's like manifesting. You know, people say a lot about manifesting. You're kind of playing into it and then your world slowly starts becoming what you're outputting. You're gonna have these inputs of thoughts of these negative stuff, or they're gonna wanna drag you right back to where you were before. You gotta learn how to be a sniper gang, you know, scope that shit out and fucking snipe that shit, you know what I mean? And something a lot of people hold is fake ideologies. Now, fake ideologies are ideas that you believe about yourself that are simply untrue, right? Like if I call myself fat, even though I'm not fat, I'm gonna believe that I'm fat. You know what I mean? If I say I can't, then guess what's gonna happen in the real world? I can't, period. Pooh, I can't. You know what I mean? But if I say I can, even though I think I can't, but I put into the world that I manifest that I can, I will, I am, what do you think is gonna happen? So this is very important because once you start getting rid of those bad poisonous stuff that's in your brain, they're gonna try and come back to you. They're gonna try and test your power. But I believe in you. I know that you could kill those thoughts. You know what I mean? Don't go to that website. Turn off the game. You already played 2 hours of it. You know what I mean? The world is literally what you make of it. The world is literally heaven or hell. We're living in heaven and hell. And I'll get into that more in the spiritual next session, Pupism 4. But in mentality words, the world is literally what we make of it. So the more you say I can't is the more that you can't. Now, a lot of this also comes down into a lot of control, a lot of discipline, because this is kind of testing yourself. Don't let myself go to where the quicksand is. You know what I mean? Keep myself leveled. Even when it's a hard situation, even when those demons are telling you, yo, I want to do this right now, we should go back, you know who you really are. You just got to snipe them down. You got to scope them and snipe them down. You know what I mean? Watch what you feed your brain because it becomes a reality. And this also ties into what I was saying either last session or two sessions ago. That is why when you're manipulated, or let's say it's none of your fault, but the environment, this country or whatever, the media is hurting yourself because you didn't learn correctly, why do you think they target your mentality first? Because they enter that in your brain, even how far they are, they enter it in your brain, and then slowly it starts becoming reality to your physical world. That is why social media is so dangerous. That's why social media is so dangerous because, like, think about it. Do you think throughout all of humanity, right, before the technological stage, do you think there was a lot of depression, anxiety? Probably not the way it's focused, magnified into this generation because we're so used to seeing social media, right? Before they didn't have social media, so the only people who they saw were up or always happy were like celebrities or on the TV or on a movie. All right, that's not all the time. Now we're seeing people, perceiving that they're up, they're high energy, they have all the success and all they're winning and they're smiling and they're so happy. So we're comparing to them, our brain does it with subconsciously, we don't even know what's going on. That we look at ourselves, we're at a normal state and we're like sad face, anxiety, why am I not doing that? Nothing has changed about humanity. The only thing that has changed is what we're feeding our brain. And guess who's taking advantage of that? The people who's making a lot of money. And guess who's being used as disadvantage? The people whose brains and spirits are being manipulated. But don't worry, because we're gonna break free. But I also want to point out, like I said in a previous session, this is all a double-edged sword. So if we know that our brain, to poisonous stuff that's not good for us, if we spam it into our brain, eventually we become poisonous and something that's not good for us. What if we do it the opposite? What if we spam our brain with stuff that's good for us or stuff that we want to lean forward into? We're probably going to transform into that too. So you could worry, but have hope. Don't be someone who's triple X'd out because you're like, okay, I'm 20, I'm 25, I'm 32, like I can't change things. This is just how I am. That's not true. But if you believe it, it's going to be true. But I'm telling you, don't believe it, because all you got to do is rewire yourself, remanipulate yourself into a better human being. And I believe in you. I know you can do it. And the last step, just like last session, same thing, you got to move right. Now, what does that mean? Because obviously you can't exercise your brain. Well, you can. I want you to think of times where your brain is either turned on, on or off. Obviously it's always on, but what I mean is, like, when we're sleeping, our brain is on, but we just kind of, we're subconscious of it. We don't know what's going on. But when we're taking a test, our brain is obviously being used on. What hobbies do you use, and how on or off is your brain? When you're playing video games for the fucking 60th time in 3 weeks, is your brain really working? Well, I call these shits weak ass exercises, because your brain is working, it's interpreting, but there's no more things to go down that alley. There's nothing else down that path. You've already played that shit. You're with the same people. There's nothing more to learn. Your brain is tired. And this is probably why you're feeling the depression, the anxiety, the combo one, because your brain wants to do more. That's just the way it is functioned, but it's being used incorrectly. Your brain is the most powerful organ that you have. So you want it to be the strongest it is, and the most powerful and the most speediest, the most efficient brain you could have, so that you could go and achieve whatever you want to go achieve in your life. You know what I mean? Video games, scrolling, drug use, is your brain really working? Now, people might think this is not fun, or like, it's, no one really thinks exercises is fun. I got a couple examples of what you could do, like chess. I like playing chess, poker, because it tests like more psychological side of what you're doing, right? Chess is a lot of thinking. Poker is interpreting, analyzing, and then choosing their best decision. A lot of people like to read too. But what I offer you, or what I think you should try to do, is talk meaningfully. People really talk nowadays just to talk, saying a lot of dumb shit. When you talk, think about what you're about to say before you present it to the world. You know what I mean? And when I say this shit, like all these things, like the exercise and everything, it goes back to the beginning of the video. It's all moderation. I'm not saying go be Einstein, but also I'm not saying go be don't be a banana just chilling on a table. But if you're following the steps, like you're full of energy because it's been a week of exercising. Now you see another plan of something you could do. Probably you haven't thought about cleaning your brain out, refreshing your brain. You should be excited. Do these things with fun. You're gonna find a lot of free time that you have now because of all these bad stuff that now you realize now is not good for you. You exit out. You're gonna have a lot of free time. A lot of like, what do I do now? Don't go back to the bad stuff. Moderate it. Do it slowly. You don't gotta cut it off all at once. I'm an extremist. Even when I try that, I usually end up crashing. I always end up crashing, actually. But have fun with it. You know what I mean? Like, try out a new hobby. Try out chess. Try out something that your brain is now, like level up. Level up your brain. Now that is all for a strong mental conviction. Now, life is simple, so the plan is pretty simple. I encourage you throughout the week, just kind of analyze and try to go build up slowly, so that you can finally get your goal. But for the people that are still exercising, it's been 1 week of exercise, so I want to update the plan, right? My marker is dying, so I only was able to write half the plan. But you want to start with a pull-up. You want to do 1 plank and 1 shoulder push-up, basically just really wide push-ups. You feel in your shoulders more. Then you're going to do 7A, which is push-ups. Just 7 push-ups, side planks, which are, you're on your sides, you're on your elbow. 7 squats. Then you're going to do 7B, which is bed push-ups. I got to read it here because I didn't write down. Bed push-ups, regular sit-ups, and then wall squats when you're just on a wall and you're kind of holding it. Then you're going to go back to the 1, do all those again, and then you just flip it. Do 7B, then do 7A, and then do 1 again. So basically 1, 7, 7, 1, 7, 7, 1. Yeah, that's basically all for the session for today. Now, just talking to my homies. I remember last session I was kind of low energy, but 7 days ago we started the pup plan. 7 days, completed. I did everything that I wrote that I was gonna do. I'm a lot more energy. My confidence is definitely increasing. I'm just feeling good. You know what I mean? Following this pupism plan, finally, I'm feeling more light. Addiction wise, I cut off Instagram a while ago before my birthday, and that's been a pretty easy one. Lust wise, I don't watch porn no more. That's been pretty easy. Probably marijuana. Weed has been the hardest thing to kind of cut off completely. But I've been doing good. The first week I had maybe like 4. I used to do it every day, all day, just to date myself. But now I used to do like 4 a week, 3 a week. And then this week, I think I did 2 a week, which I think is pretty impressive. I think it's pretty good for my 3rd week or my 4th week since my birthday. Yeah, so everything's looking good. Everything's going pretty good to my pupism little plan. I do see, like, I don't know if y'all can see, but little baby muscles are growing. I see a little more definition, which I know it takes longer for other people to recognize. But everything feeling good, man. And write down your license plate and everything that's going on with you guys. I think try to take the information weekly. This session has been more mentalic, psychological, which is a little bit harder to understand for some people. But hopefully my little examples could help you understand and apply to your life. But the main underlying thing is it's gonna be hard. It is hard to rewire everything that you knew about this world. But the outcome is definitely worth it. Like I can already see me heading the direction where I want to be in, which is, just not even huge. I just want to make videos, make music, just have a good time when I'm living life, because I used to live life and life was like, but now life is like cool. I don't mind waking up anymore. I'm dreaming a lot more. I'm always full with like 15 dreams a night, and everything's cool. Like on this side, it's been almost a month. We're almost approaching a month of pupism, and I think everything's been going real good. On the YouTube side, we've had 6 views the most, I think, for any pupism. But that's all good. I think that's all gonna come a little later. But yeah, just kind of enjoy yourself, man. I want to understand if you guys are 3 weeks into it, kind of how you're feeling. What kind of changes do you see going on in yourself? And don't want to talk about anything else? I don't know, man. Like I was just looking forward to this episode. You know what I mean? Hopefully I did a good job, but I was just looking forward. Like last week, I remember I was like just trying to speed through it. But this week, I've been looking forward for this Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to the homies. And I wonder if people are in the same pattern. If it's like it dips a little low and then you start climbing. That would be interesting to see the pattern in the homies too. But yeah, the rest of my day, I'm about to go be very happy for my Tuesday. Probably gonna see my little lady a little later. And yeah, a lot of cooking, a lot of exercise. Trying to dwindle down the bad stuff. And hopefully you guys are too. So happy Tuesday, y'all. See y'all later. And D-W. Deuces.